think when they're a wild horse, they're more loyal and they depend on you more. When I'm about to ride him and there's a saddle on his back, he really gets excited, I think. I think he's like, yay, we're gonna go do something.
He's like a mountain goat. I mean, he's so athletic, and in the mountains, he's fantastic.
He's a very versatile horse, and he's drop-dead gorgeous, in my opinion.
I've had 2 other Mustangs as well. I've adopted 2 out of Canyon City, so I already had Mustangs. So I was looking for one closer, and I saw the organization that the Forest Service works with, the Hickory and Mustang Heritage Alliance. And so Annie begged me for a baby horse, and so we went down and adopted Cinch.
I wanted a baby horse, so my mom said we'll go down to the place we got him, and we'll go pick out one.
Hickory Mustang Heritage Alliance is a nonprofit organization to help one Mustang at a time be able to find a forever home. Everything that we do to gentle that horse is based on what is unique about that horse's personality. Did they come in extra wild? Do they have some quirks? We want to understand that horse before we start promoting that horse for adoption.
I base most everything on building a trust and a relationship with the horse. And by doing that, sometimes you have to put a little bit of pressure on them in order to take it off so that they can know that you do have something to offer them.
The wild horses do need to be managed. You can't graze the land forever and expect it to feed more than it's capable of feeding. But they need to be managed in a humane and thoughtful process. In taking the horses from the Forest Service and providing a gentle Mustang to the public is an extremely important element that we need to continue to educate and help people embrace.
We like the fact that all these horses are going to go to a home rather than going to a long-term or short-term holding facility, so the taxpayers aren't paying to feed them anymore and they're living a life with a person somewhere. Wild horses are a good option. Many of our adopters have young children, and our horses happen to be small.
They are a piece of our American heritage, and they make awesome horses. They just have been mislabeled as difficult.
I think a lot of the other forests around the country are going to be doing this kind of work.
I would love to be able to expand and to be able to take more horses from the Forest Service. I think Mustangs bring an incredible ability to bond with their adopters, especially if they ultimately become a child's horse. They take care of those kids. They literally will take care of the kids. When Cinch came into the program, he was about 6-7 months old. He actually formed a little bond with the Laws, and they could play games. And that personality that was in Cinch as a baby is still in him today.
Then I looked at a lot of horses, and then I went to his stall, and he was just like sitting in the corner like, hello, what's your name? Yeah, it's been worth it. If I am bored, I can come out here and do something with him worthwhile, because he will always do something. He always wants to do something.
What I'm really proud of passing on to my daughter is that we can take animals that need homes. They don't have to cost a ton of money, and they're perfectly wonderful animals, and they're going to give you the same reward as a horse you spend $5,000 on. You're part of helping these Mustangs find homes.
Today we're at Wells, Nevada, at the Ruby Mountain Ranger District, at the first of its kind ribbon cutting ceremony for a pollinator garden. We've taken a thirsty sod grass and converted it to a xeriscape with an array of pollinator-friendly plants that are locally adapted to the drought conditions here in the Central Basin and Range ecosystem, or ecoregion. 1 in 3 bites of food that we take are pollinated by an animal pollinator, such as the European honeybee and our native bees and other pollinators. Pollinators fit into the web of life. In some cases, they're actually, the food for other animals, and they create through reproduction the berries and fruits and plants that other animals eat. Pollinators are in decline right now. There's been a simultaneous global decline of pollinators, especially the honeybees, the native bumblebees and other native bees, and the monarch butterfly migration is imperiled right now on both the West Coast and the East Coast populations. Pollinator gardens help increase awareness to the public, and it's a great way to outreach to the public and youth and make them aware of the plights of the pollinators. We are also working to practice restoration on a small scale for the types of restoration we'll be doing on landscape levels. We've got an array of plants. What you want is a number of plants that have different colors and shapes and sizes of flowers, and you want them to be biologically active early, middle, and late in the flowering season so that the pollinators have food throughout the growing season. Now, the public can do their own pollinator gardens, and they don't have to have the local genetics, but we sure would like to make the seed sources available that are from the Central Basin and Range ecoregion. But you can get involved by planting your own pollinator garden, and there's resources out there on Pollinator.org where it'll guide you on what plants benefit bees and butterflies, which ones specifically benefit monarchs, such as the milkweed that we've planted here. And there's tools and techniques on how to plan your garden and how to keep and maintain it. Let's not lose our pollinators. Let's not lose our food and environmental health.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and an Idahoan that has a love for the great outdoor opportunities that exist in our state. Recently, I've learned that something different is happening here in the Payette National Forest. For the past 5 years, the forest has been a part of the Collaborative Forest Landscape Restoration Program, and forest restoration work is in full swing within these ecosystems. An important part of this program is the collaborative process that the Payette Forest Coalition is a key player in. The Payette Forest Coalition is an independent group of interested members of the public that represent all interest in land stewardship. For these projects, the Payette National Forest and Payette Forest Coalition came together to increase the scale and pace of forest restoration projects, improve communication and trust, and understand values and needs of various interest groups. And accomplishments are taking place. So what's different? What were the issues of the past that led to the status quo of little work being done in the woods? And how have those troubles been removed through a truly collaborative effort?
No one is particularly happy with the status quo. If you're in the conservation interest, there isn't a lot of forest restoration going on there. From the forest products industry, there isn't a lot of commercial activity going on. From recreationists, there isn't a lot of trail maintenance going on, and there's lots of concerns out there.
The management was stagnant, and there was nothing going on.
The perception by forest leaders, the coalition, and the public was critical work needed to increase, but landscape scale level projects were slow, and projects were stalled or stopped due to a lengthy planning process, appeals, and litigations.
By getting a forum together to work out these issues in advance and find a zone of agreement, the Forest Service can start off a project on the right foot and then end up in a spot where they can actually get work done on the ground that everyone supports.
In 2009, Congress passed legislation that authorized the Collaborative Forest Landscape Restoration Program, known as the CFLRP. That act provided authority for the Forest Service to engage collaboratives for landscape scale projects. In 2012, the R.O.V.E.R.S, Little Salmon Headwaters Restoration Project here on the Payette National Forest was selected to receive annual funding for 8 years. Through that authority, the Payette Forest Coalition developed recommendations and brought the interest of all the parties together for several projects. These collaboratively developed projects significantly increased the scale and pace of forest landscape restoration.
We convened, and by we I mean a broad spectrum of people representing a variety of different interests, from loggers and motorized recreationists to non-motorized recreationists, county government, business people, and we all got together and talked about what we would like to see happen on the Payette National Forest, and the one thing we agreed upon pretty quickly was that we would like to see work get done on the forest.
These projects that bring the interest of all parties to the table have promoted economic growth and improved forest and watershed health. They have enhanced fish and wildlife habitat through vegetation thinning, road improvements, riparian enhancements, invasive species management, and fuels treatment. Today, the Payette National Forest is actively managing 130,000 acres within the Mill Creek, Council Mountain, and Lost Creek, Boulder Creek watersheds north of Council, Idaho. In addition, they are working on 50,000 more acres in the Weiser River watershed.
We need large-scale solutions to some big problems we have. And landscapes getting away from those smaller analysis areas, going bigger, and really trying to treat these vast areas we have around here with some pretty darn big projects.
The goal of the Forest Service is to redevelop ecologically sound systems and watersheds that function naturally and have openings and vegetation patterns that are somewhat similar to the past, when fire played a dominant role. Each project is helping to improve watershed health by reducing road sediment, add or replace road culverts with open-bottom arches to allow easy fish passage, and reduce dense vegetation that pose fire risks. Much of the Payette National Forest is within a fire-adapted ecosystem, meaning historically, frequent lower-intensity fires reduce fuel that created natural diversity, such as forest openings, meadows, and desirable animal habitat.
What we found is there's a lot of work to do because you have areas of the forest stands that have missed a lot of fire cycles. So you had a lot of brush and trees that have grown up that normally wouldn't be there.
The coalition advocates prescribed fire combined with timber projects at a landscape level. That management approach changes forest vegetation conditions so they are more resilient to wildfire while providing economic and social benefits. After mechanical vegetation removal, adding fire under a controlled environment mimics the historic fire role. Each year, forest personnel use prescribed fire on thousands of acres following vegetation reduction from timber sales.
We go out and look at an area that we visited prior to treatment, and we saw how dense and overgrown it was, and then we go back out after veg treatment and look at it again and say, oh, now we understand how the firefighters would be able to get in here and fight a fire successfully and not have it blow up and consume 100,000 acres.
If we can take some areas and through our restoration work, reduce the severity of those catastrophic fires, I think that's a positive all the way around.
As a part of their collaborative goals, projects have been developed that generate increased timber value and much needed good restoration work.
Through these projects, we're able to generate a lot of value in the timber. I've always said that timber is just an outcome of good restoration work.
The Evergreen Sawmill near New Meadows has added a second shift due largely to the Lost Creek, Boulder Creek project, and frequently posts a Help Wanted sign. These projects have also helped fill log yards from Meridian to Grangeville.
Lost Creek, Boulder Creek, that's roughly 65, 70 million board feet. So now we have timber target met for roughly 3 years. That's a far cry from where we were 10 years ago.
It's allowed us to increase shifts. It's given me the more of the confidence that we can hire more people on, that we can grow the company. And I hope they keep just doing these projects, because every time you see these projects, it's a win-win for everybody.
The win-win comes by thinning the overgrown forest and by providing economic stability to these mountain towns. The effort also focuses on road management and recreational opportunities, and those two can present a challenging debate. But bringing people together to talk about these issues produces an outcome that reaps strong benefits.
When it comes to these roads, we have a variety of people using the forest in a variety of ways. And some folks would like to see lots more ATV trails. Other folks would like to see ATVs banned from the woods. So how do we come to an agreement somewhere in between?
The Forest Service developed projects that reduced road impacts, but maintain public access, emergency access regarding wildfire, and for future land stewardship projects.
In a lot of places, there's roads are redundant. So they'll get a road out of the stream bottom and leave a road on a ridge top or a mid-slope, still keep access.
We were actually able to recommend more miles of road decommissioning and more miles of stream restored than the Idaho Conservation League would have done on its own. At the same time, we were able to work with recreationists, and they were actually able to designate some recreational loops that otherwise wouldn't have been available. So coming together, we actually found a sweet spot for both recreation interests as well as wildlife and fisheries and sporting interests.
The Lost Creek watershed and Lost Valley Reservoir are very popular recreational areas. Recreation improvements were needed, and the collaborative effort brought people together to make improvements.
It was very important to include in that project some work to improve those dispersed campsites, to move a few sites away from the immediate shore of the reservoir, to harden some sites so there'd be less erosion, less resource damage, to put in some vault toilets so we don't have sanitation concerns up there like we had before. It was not a pleasant place to be. And now it is going to be a much more pleasant place for people to go and camp and take their families and their kids and go fishing.
The bottom line is that collaboration works. Already these accomplishments include 84,000 acres of fuel treatment, 132 miles of stream restoration, 90,000 acres of wildlife habitat enhancement, 16 stream crossings improved for aquatic organism passage, nearly 150,000 CCF of timber sold, enhanced and upgraded recreational opportunities, and 10,000 acres of noxious weed treatment. The status quo has changed. Forest restoration is taking place, such as this vegetation treatment and the use of prescribed fire. The collaborative process has also helped to effectively deal with the litigation issues. When the Lost Creek Boulder Creek project was challenged in court by non-collaborative parties, the Payette Forest Coalition intervened on behalf of the Forest Service. The federal court cited the strong collaborative and community support and dismissed the lawsuit.
It's exciting to see a federal judge say, no, this is a good project. A lot of people from different interests came together to collaborate and agree on a project. Through this process, we're getting some progress done, and we're keeping people working. We're adding some new jobs.
The benefit is an increased pace and scale of landscape restoration. Project planning is now more efficient, and on-the-ground results are healthy, resilient, sustainable landscapes.
What the collaborative does is it creates a forum for folks who are usually on opposite sides of many of these issues to come together and try to work some things out in advance.
It's just a good way to do business face to face.
Everything that you're doing right now, guys.
The more we talk, the more we realize we have a lot in common and what we want to see. We share a lot of the same values.
It's been very gratifying to see work get done on the ground in real time so that our forests are healthier, they're more resilient to wildfire. In addition, we're having healthier wildlife habitat and fishing places, and also better recreation opportunities for everyone. So it's a lot of work, but it is working.
All of us value our public lands and want to see these incredible forested ecosystems survive for generations to come. Forest restoration has started in these special places like the Payette National Forest, and the collaborative process is key to implementing positive results in the landscape. Collaboration brings our values together, and together more and more forested lands are being proactively brought back into healthy conditions. If you're an interested Idahoan like me, learn more about the collaborative process and then pull up a chair to the table so that these significant accomplishments through collaboration can continue into the future.